Yes, we're live. Hi, everyone. Hope everybody's watching is safe and sound at their places. My name is Maria Kadir, and I am the community manager at VisionX. And for people who have joined externally and those who don't know me, all my previous experiences has been for the telecom sector, and this is my first tech startup experience. And so far, it's been pretty exciting considering that there is no place where you get to build the community and build engaging content for them on a daily basis. So that's that. One thing that I really like about VisionX is our mindset. There are 10 guiding principles that we adhere to, and we live by them both professionally and in our personal capacity. One of the mindset is giving back to the community. And these sessions actually are in continuation to that. We want to make sure that we give you access and make you connect to the bestest and the brightest brains available in the industry. And today's session is no different than that. So our session today would be about high performance organizations and evolving mindset. And our speaker for today would be Mr. Wali Muhammad, who is the director at the Behavioral Skill Corporation Canada. Wali is really good at designing and implementing training-based interventions for different companies around the globe. So without any further ado, let's bring Wali in so that we can have a nice chat with him.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, Wali. How are you? Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you very much. I'm feeling so excited to be able to talk to you. Thank you very much for inviting me over. And a big hi to the VisionX gang out there. Hello. And a big hi to all of the people who are watching us today. Two beautiful people here, eh?
Just casually talking. All right. So before we start on this heavy duty topic of ours, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience? Tell us about your journey and what motivates you towards human behavior.
Well, you've already done 50% of the job. My name is Wali Muhammad. For those who are watching, they don't know me. I have about 15 years of professional experience. My professional journey started in Pakistan. I've always been a behavioral skills consultant after I finished my master's in psychology. For the last 5 years, I have been working at the behavioral skills company as director consulting. Behavioral skills company specializes in igniting teams to their peak performance. During the course of my work, my work has taken me to strange places. A lot of times I found myself traveling through South Asia, Middle East, China, North America. So I met with lots of interesting people from many different cultural backgrounds. What an interesting world, eh?
That's great to know. So shall we start our conversation on high performance organizations? My first question to you would be that considering that you've been exposed to so many different organizations, their working styles, and also from different cultures, what do you think, in your view, is the key contributor of a high performance organization?
Wow, that question sounds like very, very serious and very broad. You know what? There is a ton of scholarly literature on high-performing organizations and lots of perspectives emerging out of that. Once you go through a lot of that information, what it boils down to, for me, is really a sense of purpose that binds people together and drives them into action to achieve that purpose in a material world, in a very, very material form. So one thing unique about high-performing organizations I see is that they are able to spell that that purpose into a mission statement that is very clear-cut, very straightforward, very simple language. For example, if you look at Google's mission statement, it is organizing world's information and making it accessible and useful for everyone. Like Facebook mission statement, I think it's giving people the power to form communities and bring the world closer together. If you look at the VisionX mission statement, that is, helping businesses digitize and integrating emerging technologies to augment their business processes, operations, and offerings. This is very, very simple mission statement. But the real question is that how does that mission statement translate into the reality of a high-performing organization? That is a real question. And in that area, I would like to quote Jim Collins from the book Built to Last, which is one of the most amazing book if you want to know about visionary organizations. The metaphor he comes up with is the clock builders and time tellers. Now, what is exactly is a clock? A clock is a machine that tells times. And if you translate this metaphor into organizational dynamics, clock building is essentially the process of building a type of clock that could tell the time no matter what happens out there in the world. So it's essentially creating an organization around an idea around that mission statement. And time telling is that many different types of people come into the organization, they would lead the organization. At times, organizations would have a wonderful idea, wonderful products to make profits out of that. But look at Apple, for example. Uh, People thought that Apple would not be able to survive after Steve Jobs, but Steve Jobs went away and Apple not only survived, but they are growing as well. So a high-performing organization is really the clock-building organization. They are not the time tellers. They have the capabilities to survive, evolve, adapt to their changing contexts. And one of the most important things where this entire clock building thing is happening is the structure of their teams. If the culture of an organization allows them to have the types of teams that would go on evolving with the passage of time, regardless of what happens in the external context, that organization is good to go. So that's a high-performing organization. And if VisionX aims to march into the future as a high-performing organization, as a visionary organization, they need to have certain core attributes within their teams.
Well, you actually parked yourself to my next question. I was about to ask you that since you have mentioned about teams,
Mm-hmm.
what role can teams play in leading their organization to a high performance organization?
Oh, teams are the most basic unit of a high-performing organization, and teams are central to all the progress that's going to happen. But you know what? That question is so broad, and I
Yeah.
was just thinking that to pin it down to some specifics, so that our audience could get some really amazing takeouts of that, I would
Sure.
invite you to do a role play. Are you
Okay.
comfortable with that?
Yeah. Let's do that.
That's very nice. Okay, so let's say Maria Kadir is a tech graduate from one of the highly respected universities, and she joined a tech organization, or a medium-sized tech organization, soon
Mhm.
after graduating. And for the last 3 years, Maria is working as a developer in developer team 2.
Mhm.
One morning, Maria steps into her office and she finds a letter and a note. She opens that, and there is a letter of promotion. It says that Maria is now promoted as the team leader, and she's going to be leading developer team 1. How is Maria feeling now?
So a part of me would be happy that I'm recognized for the work that I'm putting in,
Uh-huh.
but a part of me would be really anxious that how am I going to handle a team? It's a new thing. I'm a rookie. I don't know.
Okay,
So I
so
think it's going to be a 50-50.
let's put the anxiety in the parking lot for a while, and let's try to concentrate on your excitement. Maria is excited. Uh,
Yeah,
what is the basis of that excitement?
that's the basis. I get recognized for the work that I'm doing.
I get recognized for the work I'm doing. What else?
I get more
Better
portfolio to
pay.
work on,
Yeah,
better
you're gonna
pay.
get better pay, better perks, and you're gonna have a lot of power. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, you know what? Society raises us in a way that we become very individualistic. We are always focused upon what we are going to get. If you look at the schools, you go to schools, kids are always trying to compete with their class fellows. When we come to universities, we are always competing with our class fellows, always trying to be the best. When we come to the jobs, we are doing the same thing. But the
Mhm.
fine morning that Maria is promoted as the team leader is the time that Maria has to change this entire signature. Maria has to shift the focus away from her to the people that she's going to lead. Is that going to be easy for you, Maria?
I think it's going to take a while for me to shift on it, but it should be easy,
Like,
considering that
yeah, is
yeah,
it going to be
considering that the leadership has seen something in me.
That's true. Is it going to be possible for you to shift the focus away from yourself and put other people now? You're not just thinking about your own pay and perks, your own promotions, your own development in the company. You're not just thinking about your own professional career, but you're thinking about the career of so many people
So many
that you're
people.
going to lead. And let's say
Yeah,
there are about 20 people in your team. Are you going to be able to make them the center of your attention all the time in the future?
I, I'm afraid not so.
Yeah, this is going to be a very hard shift for you. So the first thing that we are talking about the high performing teams. The first thing uh, where it starts from is that leaders really have to understand that once they become the leaders, once they start leading their teams, the game is not about themselves. The game is about the other people. The game is how they help their teams grow up, how they help their people to actualize their own personal potentials. And that is the shift that's not going to happen very easily. A lot of leaders, they start making the mistake that they start participating within the complex dynamics that is happening at the team level. They start competing with their own team members. But what leaders need to realize is that they are not competing with their team members, they are complementing them, they are facilitating them. Their competition is probably with other team leaders. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, how are you going to be able to change that mindset? We put that in the parking lot, and now we come down to Maria's wish list about her team. When Maria walks into her house, Maria is a family woman. She's got kids, she's got a husband. When she steps into her house, how does Maria feel? Do you feel great about yourself being there?
I feel secure, like in my own space.
You feel secure, like in your own space. You feel like you are being recognized. And do you feel happy or do you feel tense about it?
I feel happy because I'm at home.
You feel happy because you are at home. Now, let's talk about your wish list, about the kind of attributes you would want to have within your team. When you step into your team, how do you want to feel? What is the emotional signature of your team?
That they are able to approach me. There's an open communication.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they can reach me out for anything that
You know,
bothers them.
yeah, that's true. One of my friends used to say, the home is the place when I enter my home actually hugs me. I feel like I'm being hugged. So when
Yeah,
Maria walks into her team, she feels like she's being hugged by all those beautiful people around
yeah,
her, and she feels safe, and she feels at her very best, at the best of her potentials, right?
yeah.
Now, the basic thing to ponder here is that how do you think your team members are going to relate with one another? Are they relating to each other formally? Are they competing with each other? Or there is another way you would like them to relate to one another?
Well, if it's my team, then I would want everybody to be treated with respect and with one on one level ground, irrespective of what their hierarchy is.
Now, respect is a very elusive term. Respect in South Asian cultures is fulfilling the responsibilities that come with hierarchy. You look at your boss, you always allow your bosses to speak first, and we are so hierarchy conscious in South Asia that we a lot of times are not even able to express ourselves to people who are higher
Mhm.
ups. Would you want that kind of environment in your team?
No, that's why I said I wanted an open communication.
You want open communication.
Yeah,
You want people to relate to each other
yeah,
frankly. So
frankly.
when Maria is talking to people in her family, does Maria ever hide anything? Does she have to hide anything, or Maria is able to present whatever Maria is? Maria has got some strengths, some potentials, some hopes, some desperations, and some weaknesses as well. Would Maria
Mm.
want people to know of her as intimately as people in her home know of her? Or Maria would want to wear, sort of a mask where Maria always looks like the powerful woman out there, and she steps on the working floor, and just bang, bang, everything starts working.
Well, I think the latter sounds more interesting. Go with that.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, behind all this spiel, where I wanted to come down to was Google in 2012 was contending the similar question.
Okay.
An organization like Google with so many people employed and so many teams working, the main question that they were pondering was that why is it that some teams are able to work and some teams are not able to work? To be hired in Google, you have to be the cream of the crop. You have to be top of the line professional, right? So we can be sure that people who are hired in Google, they are best of the best. But Google noticed that so many different teams, some teams click, some teams do not click. So their question was that what is that X factor that makes the teams click? And they started going through all the scholarly literature from the last 50, 70 years. They started watching and observing their teams. They started interviewing people within their teams, and nothing was actually happening. Nothing was giving them, where they could say 100% that, yes, this is that X factor that contributes towards making a team dynamic. This project was being led by a lady just like yourself. Her name was Julia Rozovsky. You are what, community manager at VisionX?
Yes.
You're community manager at VisionX. Julia Rozovsky was doing the similar type of project, in a similar type of role. One thing they found out that strong teams, when you walk on the work floor of strong teams, you see people talking. People are talking, always chatting with each other. And they are talking freely like friends talk to each other. And then they started observing a bit more, and they found out that these people are never hiding anything from each other. They know each other like the back of their hands. They tell each other not only their strengths, but also their weaknesses. So Maria can tell her team members that, look, guys, this is my strong area, but this is the area where I go lily-livered. I feel really weak in my stomach. I have butterflies in my stomach, and I don't know how to go about it. So would you be able to have that kind of environment in your team?
Probably not.
That is the toughest part. Google defines this concept as psychological safety. And they see that psychological safety is that X factor that differentiates between the teams that click and the teams that are still struggling. Because you could have the best of the best people in your teams, the best graduates from top institutions, great professional experience and everything. But then some teams click and some teams don't click. And Google thought that this X factor was psychological safety. Now, if Maria, who is a rookie, who is a new team leader, once she finds out that Google was able to find out that psychological safety is that X factor, and afterwards they fashioned all of their teams around the idea of psychological safety, what is Maria going to do? What kind of action steps are coming to your mind?
So I will probably work on my weaknesses. I'll make sure I first start with the open communication, telling them transparently that this is my area of strength, this is the area that we would like to work on. So probably from there.
Something strange about human beings is when Maria tells me that, okay, guys, we're going to have a very transparent culture. We're going to be really nice with each other, and we're going to be talking to each other like every one of us has done a master's in counseling psychology. We would be doing therapies with one another, that type of stuff. People would not believe that, right?
Yeah, true.
So Maria probably would want to take her team out on an away day. But this is a totally different type of away day. This is a type of a workshop or an exercise where Maria is not talking about the future objectives, where Maria is not talking about the team goals that they are going to achieve in the future, the projections and all those complicated numbers. Maria is going to allow people to talk to each other, get to know each other in a better way. And Maria is not going to come out of that place until people are really comfortable talking to each other, until people really know about each other. Could you do that?
Sure, yeah.
Now, in my consulting experience, I have seen that tech companies, like you're new in the tech company, your entire experience has been within the telecom industry, which is almost like a jungle of multiple tech companies, right?
Yeah.
People are so busy. People are so busy that they do not have the time to go out on away days. But this is the spot where Maria has to put her foot down. Maria has to say, okay, I'm taking my team out and I'm going to make my team talk to each other. I want my team to know about each other. But once people start talking to each other, usually we wear masks and it is not very easy for us to show what is underneath that mask. Now, Maria, could you do that? Could you help people take their masks off and talk to each other freely? Get
Yeah,
to know more
maybe.
about each other?
Yes, I think this is something that everybody does, in that they can take their teams to maybe not an away day, but a lunch, something that help them gel on things that's not related to work. So yeah, I would try to reel them in and probably look for common areas of interests and hobbies
Mhm.
that we can start out the conversation with.
Yeah, you know what? There we find out what's commonly happening in the companies. But what commonly happens is that people go out on lunches and people go out socialize in different clubs. They spend some time together, but that is not adding to their psychological safety. When you want to have psychological safety in your team, you want to have some kind of workshops that would make people talk to each other. Some kind of interactive exercises that would help them take their masks off and get to know about each other. A lot of times in my consulting practice, especially during the last 3 years, working with tech companies, I've realized that when we tell managers that they should go out on an away day like that, and if they cannot conduct a workshop where people are able to talk to each other freely, then they should hire consultants. And they could lead that day for them. And the new team lead would also learn from the consultant as the workshop unfolds in front of them. Now, the teams, the organizations who allow their teams to go out and spend a day together trying to improve their psychological safety, I've seen that their performance usually goes up by 70 to around 120% of the times. So the most difficult thing for you as a team lead would be to convince your management that I want to go out on an away day like that. And when I interview those managers, okay, what happened? How was that process? And they tell me that they faced a lot of opposition. And while they were spending their time on such away days, people outside were talking like, "Oh my God, what the heck are these people doing? Are they shrinks or what are they trying to achieve?" But unless their team is able to gel together, they will not be able to clearly improve their performance from point A to point B. So yeah, that's the most important aspect of it.
All right, great. So what about the team leads? You sparked my anxiety. So what about that? We'll go back to the parking lot. And what about the fact that I understand what teams have to do, but what
Mhm.
about the leading part, the managers? They
Uh-huh.
want to instill a culture of safety, security in their team, and as much as
Uh-huh.
they want to make sure that there's harmony in the team, they're
Mhm.
still shaky about their own abilities. So how
Yeah.
can the managers and leaders pave their way towards better leadership, better management, and being a better guide for their teams?
Now that's a very important question. And this is the most important thing any professional, this is the most important challenge, this is the most stringent challenge any professional has to surmount in their professional career. That how to shift from being a worker who is accountable to their own responsibilities to being a worker who's accountable to the performance of an entire team. leadership is a very scary position. Leadership is a very, very lonely position. Now, but how could you get out of it? It's actually very easy, way easier than a lot of people think about it. You know, in her previous life, before Maria was stepped into that leadership role, Maria was always working for herself. She wanted to excel in her career. She wanted to get the best qualifications. She wanted to get the best for herself. But now Maria has to move other people into the center of that focus. And how is she going to do that? How do you feel when you achieve something in your life? How do you feel when you gain personal success in your life? Do you feel great about that?
Yes, I feel that I've moved one step forward to my goal.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah.
Getting personal success in life is a lot of fun, but just try to wrap your head around the fact that if you enable other people to get personal success in their lives, is it going to be the same amount of fun, or is it going to be more than that?
It's going to be more than that because you're adding value to other people's life and it will replicate it in their own successes.
Exactly. And when a lot of people are successful in having personal success in their lives, that's going to make you very, very happy, because in your past life, all you were doing was working for yourself. But now you are so capable that you could replicate this process in other people as well. But once you were working for your own success, what were you doing? How were you spending your time? Were you always trying to equip yourself with new knowledge? You, you were trying to cultivate your potentials into abilities so that you could excel in your career. You were doing all of that. Now, is that possible that you would be able to do that for your entire team, for you?
Um, Maybe not for the entire team, but if I feel that a certain person XYZ requires my attention in certain areas, I would definitely guide them because that's what is the requirement of my role as well, to
Uh-huh.
constantly guide
Uh-huh. Why not everyone?
them. Okay, let's do it for everyone. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually great. You know what? There is a hadith. Hadiths are sayings ascribed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and it says that it's something like if you create ease in people's lives, God creates ease in your lives. Yeah. John Maxwell is one of the greatest, one of the most influential leadership gurus. He comes up with a tool that's called seeing people as level 10 players. Everybody has their unique capabilities and their unique potentials, okay? But it does not mean that people do not have those areas where they're not that good. Remember, psychological safety is not only showing your strengths, but showing your weaknesses as well. But once Maria, after you have conducted your away day, or before that, one thing Maria could do is to talk to everybody individually. When you're talking to everybody individually and you're able to build that confidence up in people that they could share what they have, they'll be able to tell you about their potentials as well as their weaknesses. Now, when we look at ourselves, do we concentrate mostly on our capabilities or our weaknesses? What is your general way of perceiving yourself?
So I'm not blinded of the fact of my weaknesses,
Uh-huh.
but yes, probably for the first go, I will look at my strengths and build on that.
That's very good. But you know what? The way society raises us is always concentrating upon our weaknesses. We go to school and people tell us, or teachers tell us that this is the area of improvement in you. We go home, parents tell us this is the area of improvement in you. Look at our annual performance reports. We always find out that these are the areas of improvement, our weaknesses. But hardly ever there is a talk about that this is Maria's strengths. This is where Maria is excelling. What we do while raising the kids is mostly uh, concentrating upon their weaknesses. We try to put them through courses and tuitions and all of that stuff that comes with it so that they could overcome their weaknesses. But We do not give them anything so that they would concentrate on their strengths. They would find out their strengths. And once they are able to find out their strengths, it's a high time that they get advanced courses in those particular areas so that they could excel in those areas. So the first thing Maria has to achieve is to see people where they have their potentials. And level 10 player is really seeing someone with their personal potentials where they are at level 10 of their capability. Like 1 is the minimum and 10 is the maximum. So after those interviews, Maria is going to have the entire list of her team members where she's able to see that these are the players, level 10 players in these particular areas. Now, if you see all of your team now, those 20 people, and you know their level 10 areas, how does it make you feel? Do you feel confident about your team now, or do you feel more motivated about your team now?
Yeah, I feel more motivated because I know more about them, just on not what was on the surface.
Exactly. So you now know more about those people. People would always follow you when you tell them about their strengths, when you tell them about their potentials. Another concept is when we are interacting with our team members, people always come closer to those people who somehow increase them, not decrease them.
Mhm.
There are types of people we come across in life, and we meet with them. You feel like they have sucked all of your energy. Does it happen? Some people like that.
Yes, yes.
You don't want to be around those people.
That's
Uh,
negative energy.
that's a lot of negative energy, not essentially because those people are negative, but because those
Mhm.
people are probably in their company, your weaknesses and your shortcomings always come to the fore. Somehow you
Mhm.
always able to perceive yourself in the perspective of all your weaknesses, not your strengths and potentials. So Maria's communication with her team members is going to be in terms of identifying them as level 10 players and always talking about their potentials. When you talk to people about their potentials and when you encourage them to become something using those potentials, people simply love you. People want to stay closer to you. And the positive energy that this type of interaction creates would make them things that even people would be surprised they could do that.
That's very interesting, actually,
Does
coming
it
from
help
that.
you with your anxiety to act as a leader?
Yes, it does. It does. It's definitely giving me a roadmap and taking pointers.
Okay, in your
But
in your professional experience,
yeah.
do you come across leaders who always concentrate on your abilities and they let you see your shortcomings, your areas of improvement as well, but always look at you in terms of your level 10 areas?
Yes, I actually have been very fortunate enough
Hmm.
that I've had those mentors,
Hmm.
and I think that's where I get my leadership clues from as well. It's important. The kind of leadership that you are exposed to eventually translates in the kind of leader that you want to be.
Hmm.
It's either point one or you just completely differ that this is the person that I don't want to be. I'll be
Hmm.
have my own game. So they're just two extremes. For me, it's been good so far. I can actually take some pointers
You're a
from them.
very, very lucky person, Maria.
Really, I am.
So once we find out this insight that people would work amazingly once you start concentrating upon their abilities, we need to translate into a business example. And one of the most amazing persons that I come across is in the history of business organizations is William McKnight from 3M.
Mm.
William McKnight, I think he was the CEO of 3M during the time of 1949 to probably 56. But by the time he came up to become the CEO of 3M, it had already become an underdog. William McKnight was basically not a business manager. He was a finance guy. He was working in the finance area of the company. And he became the CEO. And once he became the CEO, he totally transformed the culture of the company. Because he was the kind of person who thought that if you build fences around people, you get sheep. And in his under his management, he would allow people to spend 15% of their time working on their own projects just to boost their creativity. He used to say that you should record your successes, you should record your weaknesses as well, so that you could know yourself better. And now 3M is a visionary company. 3M was actually one of those visionary companies that Jim Collins studied in the book Built to Last. So if people think that this is all that nice pep talk to talk about psychological safety, to bring people closer, to help them take their masks off, it's not going to happen. There are tons of examples where such management principles were utilized, and the greatest example is Google, and they could turn their organizations over, really.
That's really insightful to know. So, quick recap. So, we've talked about the key contributors of high performance organizations. We've talked about how teams can lead the company. We've talked about how managers can be better leaders. Now, one important fact that it's very usual for tech companies to have the best of the best talent, cream of the crop. The smartest people are on board, they're working together, hence higher productivity, high efficiency. But on the flip side of it, when there are smart people together, there are also higher levels of independent opinions, egos, and conflicts involved. How does a manager or a lead take care of that aspect?
When we talk about smart people, we really need to differentiate between smart people and intelligent people, because these are two different types of animals we are talking about. Like I could tell you, the most intelligent person, the person who's got the maximum IQ right now, somewhere within the area of 190 to 220, is like the IQ of a genius is working as a bouncer these days. He's not like a great success. Actually, there's a very interesting study. Dr. Lewis Terman, sometime around 1920s, he started this study. He's a psychologist, and he's very popular for Stanford DNA test and Army Alpha and Army Beta tests that are used extensively, and their subsequent forms have come up. He was the person who made the terminology intelligence quotient really, really popular. So his study was that he found out some really bright people, bright kids, and they studied them over throughout their lifetime. This study still continues, and a lot of people have joined in the study. They found out that people with very high IQs, they are not necessarily very successful people in their lives. Most of these people are actually getting to do very mediocre jobs. But the people who are mediocres and they have the appropriate behavioral skills, they become really, really successful. Like I'm forgetting the name of the most intelligent person right now, the guy with the highest IQ. He's in the somewhere in Texas, John Lanigan, something like that. He's working as a bouncer. But people like Dr. Sundar Pichai, who's the current CEO of Google, all of the CEOs that you could talk about, they might not be as high in their IQ as this particular gentleman happens to be, but their successes far outsmart these very intelligent people. So the bottom line is that once you are smart, intelligent, which is what you get in the tech companies, because I walk into tech companies and I see people who are so sharp in mathematics, who are so sharp in writing their programming codes and everything. And I tend to see a lot of people are, happy spending their time on their computer all day long. But if you want them to participate in a brainstorming session with their team, at times they have troubles doing that. At times they have trouble presenting the very idea that they think is going to change the company's fate. So smart people have lots of problems. Smart people, intelligent people have lots of problems. And there is a saying, when you have a hammer, everything is a nail. When you're a very, very intelligent person, you're thinking that I am so intelligent, I can solve every damn problem in the world using this intelligence. Smart people, intelligent people sometimes People think that they do insubordination as well. They don't follow the rules and regulations and policies. A lot of times I've seen in my coaching practice, I come across many, many intelligent people. As a matter of fact, people who seek coaching are highly intelligent people. And about 70 to 80% of the times I see that they have a very bad relationship with their leaders because they think that they are smarter than their leaders and their communication is always kind of very conflicting towards them. And once they learn those behavioral skills, like what are the social skills, how to take responsibility, how to use my potentials in a way that, in a very pragmatic manner, that we could create something out of that. Those intelligent people, if they don't learn those behavioral skills, they might be, counterproductive towards not only their own careers but their work at the companies. So, if you have, as a leader, if you see those highly intelligent people, you got to make them smart. And the way to make them smart is put them through some behavioral skills training workshops so that they could learn to harness their intelligence in a way that it's useful not only for them but for the entire company.
Okay, interesting. That's very interesting. That's an interesting point of view. One more question that I think that's going to be my last question in the series, and then we'll open the floor for everybody else who's watching to ask away any question that they want to ask. So, how do we instill a culture and mindset of like feedback that's important, but also make sure that the employee working under me is accountable for the tasks that we are doing. He's responsible and hold accountable. I do not want them to take away that just because that I'm a good leader or a frank leader that they're going to get away with their accountability. They have to take ownership of their task. How do we strike that lighter, balance in our leadership styles?
You know what? Ownership has got a lot to do with a sense of responsibility. That sense of responsibility comes with, a very strong connection within the team, a very strong connection between the people on your team and yourself as a leader. Once you have been able to successfully unveil, you get the real potential under the mask, and you are helping them grow their potential, people would always be more accountable towards you. People would feel it's just like if you have a strong, you have a very very fast friend of yours. You guys know each other very well, and you guys have been helping each other for a very very long time. And whenever there is a problem, you always go to that friend, and that friend is able to help you out with, give you some kind of positive advice. Okay, this is what we can do about it. Once we have psychological safety within the team members are always able to talk to their leaders about where they are feeling that they need to improve somehow. There's an very interesting example actually from an organization called Engineers Without Borders. Most of the companies have their annual reports where they mention their successes and achievements. Engineers Without Borders, they annually publish a failure report. In that failure report, they mention how many different sorts of ways people failed throughout this year. And that failure report is not to showcase people with their failures, but as people who came up with really creative ideas, they wanted to materialize those ideas, and they went out to do that, but somehow they were not successful. And by the end of the failure report is always the lessons that we learn out of those failures. Are we going to fix these products in a way that they translate from failures into successes, or are we going to get rid of those products? And what were the personal lessons for all of the people who were working within that product? So there's a lot of things that make people accountable towards their responsibilities. But the whole equation, where it comes down to, where it centers upon, is what type of relationship a leader has with their team members. If the leaders get into ego battles with their team members, they would always be disappointed. But if the leaders have a very clear, crystal clear relationship with their team members in terms of what are their abilities, what are their potentials, what are the areas they want to improve upon, then that strong equation would make them accountable.
Very, very interesting. Thank you so much, Wally. That was a very nicely handled question. I have a lot of questions for you. I'm going to read them out and one by one so we can answer them. Okay, the first question that we have is how vital is inclusion and individuality for high performance organizations?
I would say it's a spine of it's the spine of high performing organization. There was a very good book actually. It's which two heads are better than one. I'm forgetting her name. She was Deloitte's diversity and inclusion research leader. You know, when you talk about inclusion, it's a very, very elusive concept, but diversity and inclusion, it's a very elusive concept. People tend to define diversity in terms of their cultural backgrounds, in terms of their racial backgrounds, or in terms of gender, male, female, LGBTQ, all of that. But diversity is really about mental diversity. People have different abilities. People have different mindsets. People have different focuses of their abilities. For example, there is one person who is very sharp at mathematics, and another person on the same team who's very sharp at people skills. How are these two people going to come together in a team? There are people who are introverted. There are people who are extroverted. How are they going to come together in a team? There are people like if you go to Google's office in Waterloo, you're going to come across programming teams, and those programming teams are people from Iranian programmers, Chinese programmers, North American programmers from Eastern and Western European countries, Middle Eastern countries, and they're all trying to work together. And their cultural backgrounds are so much more different that the potential of conflict is huge. For example, if someone is raised in South Asia, we have similar needs, but like our needs are similar. We all want good friends, good family. We need love and recognition, but the way to approach those needs is culturally determined. So let's say someone from Middle Eastern culture is trying to be friends with someone from the North American culture. The potential of conflict increases because of the styles of communication are totally different between these two types of cultures. How does a company have diversity and inclusion within their team? Usually it's a very, very good idea that there is a diversity and inclusion manager, and they are coming up with policies and how are they going to allow people to practice their individuality without being questioned upon. But if diversity and inclusion is not the culture of an organization, a lot of talent is going to be wasted. A lot of talent would be wasted. And you working in a tech company know it a lot better than me that you could hire your team from all over the world these days. They could work virtually with you. People could travel across the countries very, very easily today than it was 50 years ago. So diversity and inclusion is a main thing to go about.
All right, great. Okay, the next question is how to let the other person know about a weakness they have, which we see them repeating often.
Nitpicking, eh?
Yeah, this is basically going back to the leadership styles.
There is two types of communication. Like Maria could say, like if Maria is my leader and I am working for Maria and I did something that's not up to the expectation of Maria, so Maria is asking me a question. Wali, did you do that again? Right? It is a simple assertion. It's a statement, but you have added a question mark at the end of that statement. Once you add a question mark at the end of that statement, that question becomes really pointed. The kind of response I'm going to give to you would be very, very defensive. Oh, what do you mean? Oh my God, I probably forgot it. Oh, I'll take care of it. And then the next time Maria is going to ask me similar types of questions, those questions are pointed. So it's got a lot to do with the communication skills. It's got a lot to do with identifying sarcasm that naturally happens, comes into our language when we are talking about people's weaknesses or something that they are not being able to do properly. But just like we teach a kid how to become better at what they are doing, we do it bit by bit. You know, the best parenting strategy is that never try to fix the kids in just one meeting. If you tell them, okay, I want you to come back home 7 o'clock tomorrow, and they are not there, then you're going to punish them. It's not going to happen that way. You're going to give them some time so that they could assimilate what is expected of them to behave. And they could take some time to work out with the challenge of changing their behavior. And then you're seeing the whole thing over a span of time. You don't just simply go to people and tell them, hey, that's wrong. That person goes defensive. The next time, he's going to be very self-conscious. He or she is going to be very self-conscious. They're going to make the same mistake again. And then the leader comes in. See, you did the same mistake again. Now it becomes part of their identity. Now they are very, very self-conscious. So you don't try to fix that problem in just one meeting, in just one sentence. You have to plan how to go about it over a series of interactions where you tell people that this is not weakness, this is just an area of improvement and we should work on it together. And once you have level 10 players identified within your team, if a person is not able to do something properly, then you could always connect that person with someone within the team who has more capability in that particular area, and then you team them up together, and they could improve this person's weakness together.
All right, great. The next question that we have is, how can a team leader or a manager empower his or her team members? Let's give them let's give them a quick recipe for that. Quick 3 pointers that you suggest, so that we can take a lead from there.
Empowering people is allowing them to come to terms with themselves. Once they know that what their abilities, always recognize their abilities in them. Always not just recognize their abilities, but always tell them that these are your abilities. And you could do wonders with that. Just these 3 points: identify their abilities, their strong areas. Not just identify, but just tell them that these are your strong areas, and then just tell them that this is what they can achieve if they actualize their strong areas. That's a lot of empowerment happening there.
All right, great. Okay, the next question that we have is, a study showed that smart people find it hard to sleep in a short amount of time. Do you think this can be related because their brains do not spot thinking as quickly as others?
I'm sorry, come again. Smart people find it hard to sleep?
Smart people find it hard to sleep in a short amount of time. Do you think this can be related because their brains do not spot thinking as quickly?
Actually, I'm not sure what study is that, because I know a lot of smart people who are able to sleep in a jiffy. I mean, they are working. They're working. One time they're working, the other time they're asleep, and then they wake up back again. But I think the focus of this study is probably the attention span here. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's what the question was referring to.
The question was that smart people are not able to sleep in a quick time because they have a lot of stuff going on in their mind.
Yes, probably. Their brain doesn't sleep.
Their brain does not sleep. Brain actually does not sleep 100% while you're sleeping. Your brain is always working. But that sounds more like the difference between millennials and the Zoomers. The Zoomers might find it hard to sleep in a small amount of time. You could say that Zoomers' attention span is smaller than millennials, because Zoomers are born into this tech world. They have always been using these social media gadgets and all those tech things, and their attention attention span is smaller, but the positive side of a short attention span is that they are able to concentrate on a number of things simultaneously. For example, a Zoomer would be able to do her presentation, work on her presentation on the computer, and simultaneously chat with her friends. And at the same time, she's watching a TV program as well. Because their attention span is shorter and they consume it very fast, so they are able to split that attention time between 2-3 different things. Millennials, on the other hand, usually the studies point out that they are able to concentrate one thing at a time, and they find it really hard to adjust with the Zoomers in that sense.
All right. The next question is, in these challenging times of pandemic, when there is already a high degree of uncertainty in the market, how to keep employees motivated and intact towards their organizational goal?
You know what? Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of layoffs, and a lot of people are insecure that they might be laid off from their jobs, and our lifestyles have totally been changed. There's a lot of insecurity created because of that. But the one way people could be motivated if is that this is also the time for companies to allow their people to concentrate on developing their own personal potential. We have learned one thing in the tech world out of this pandemic, that most of the tech gurus are saying that this pandemic has moved the tech industry 20 years into the future. Like, look at us. We are talking on StreamYard. We are talking on Zoom. I'm sitting in Waterloo. You're in Islamabad. And a lot of that stuff must be happening with you now at VisionX. People have learned totally different ways of working. And new technology is coming in. So this is a time to watch stuff. This is a time to read what's happening around and finding out the best way to take advantage of this time. Like me, if you talk about me, the first thing that goes down the drain when something like a pandemic happens is that there's a cut down on all types of trainings, right? Mm-hmm. And we are taking this time to connect with our clients online. We are taking this time to upgrade our websites. We are taking this time to upgrade our programs. And frankly, telling you, when we realized that we're not going to go out of home for longer periods of time, so I thought that I'm going to have lots and lots of fights with my wife. And
I think that's the story of every household.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough, but I would say that this pandemic is a blessing in disguise for me, because I'm able to spend so much time with my kids, and as a husband and wife, we are a very romantic couple now. Mm-hmm. So it's all great. Just try to concentrate on the things that you're gaining out of this pandemic.
Yeah, make the most of it. All right. The next question is, how important is giving freedom to your team member is in how they achieve their goals to make them more responsible?
This is a beautiful question, actually. Freedom with responsibility.
Yeah.
Freedom can always be practiced with responsibility. The bottom line again is a relationship of trust between team members and their team leaders. If there is trust between that relationship, then freedom is always practiced with responsibility. A lot of organizations tend to have those really happy manuals where they mention that this is how you're going to behave and this is how you're going to execute your responsibilities. But just like William McKnight said, if you put boundaries around people, all you get is sheep. So do you want to have sheep, or do you want to have people who are charged, who know what their potentials are, and they are motivated to actualize them? Trust allows you to have a relationship where people would practice freedom with responsibility.
Okay. All right. So I think that's about we have in the question answer session. Any parting thoughts, Wali?
Oh, it was really nice talking to you guys, and lots of interesting questions came up. I was able to blurt out a lot of stuff that I had been thinking for the last 2-3 days. I'm probably going to do a video out of this talk, out of the points that we have.
No, it was really great to talk to you. It was a pleasure that you could join us. And from the comments, I can see that the crowd was engaged as much as I was. So it was. Thank you so much for joining in, and for everybody else, thank you so much for logging in and tuning in. We will have these sessions again in the next time to come. Until then, stay safe, stay home, and stay happy. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot, Maria. Bye bye.
Thanks.